notice of time and place of this meeting was given under the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. And the special meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notices of this meeting were sent to the Asbury Park Press and Ocean Star on October 22nd, 2025. In addition, notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on the municipal website and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on a aforementioned date and have remained continuously posted. Mayor Vitale.
Here.
Councilman Ramos. Councilwoman Burns.
Here.
Councilman Fenton. Councilwoman Testa. Councilman Gant.
Here.
Councilman Cortez.
Here. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion.
A second.
Councilwoman, we're Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, because the exclusion of public convene in certain circumstances, and whereas the governing body is of the opinion that such certain circumstances presently exist, and therefore be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Pleasant Beach, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion concerning the hereinafter specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter is as follows. Real property, 113 to 115 Channel Drive, legal advice, Coast Guard redevelopment investigations, litigation, contract, attorney-client privilege, health insurance. Is there any other thing that I should add? Is that enough?
Harvard Avenue is one south of it.
Okay.
It's a real property, Harvard Avenue.
Okay, real property, Harvard Avenue. It is anticipated that subject matter discussed may be in public upon notification of final disposition. To go into close, Councilwoman Burns?
Yes.
Councilman Gant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cortez?
Yes.
Mayor Vitale?
I still don't vote.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Motion passes.
Hey, Fred.
You want me in there? Let's go.
Well, I take one. Yeah. You don't want this. Let's do, let's take 2 seconds.
Okay.
And then come out there. Right.
No, no.
Go ahead. Probably old as you are.
How are you? Wonderful.
I was gonna call you, but I was like, I'm tired. You're more comfortable than I can do this. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good, everything's good? Anything?
No, we've just been working
All
on
good?
these, we've just been working on these ordinances.
Yeah, no, we've been working on it a long time. It's not, you know, big deal.
Oh, yeah. Some of them were cleaned up.
Yeah.
To get rid of the
Well, we'll just get downstairs and do some stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll just go back to my office and do work.
this the, have these already been, like, put forward?
No, and they're not being voted on tonight, they're for discussion.
Okay, meaning discussion by them or discussion by us?
So,
Well, cause I thought the first reading, you couldn't talk about them, no, am I wrong?
no, first, normally it's first and second reading, first reading you talk, second reading it becomes law.
Oh, okay.
Well, how are
I
you?
thought I got,
I'm
I thought I
okay.
got yelled at by Andy for talking about it one time or whatever, I wasn't supposed to.
It might have been which part of the meeting. On first reading, that's the first public portion.
Yeah,
Second reading is all by itself.
oh, okay, alright, so we can talk about it now.
Yes.
Oh, okay, very good.
At least so I was told, unless it's changed, but either way you can talk about it, it's just a question of when you finish talking, then that's supposed to be talking about.
See that dude in Mount the second e-biker? You know, it's crazy.
These guys, the world is crazy.
Hello, Dave.
You're becoming a regular. You have to reserve seat now.
Well, I don't think I wanna be that regular. I'm just very curious about stuff.
they still can't hear us on YouTube, so if we could angle the mics close to our mouths as we're talking. No, they said it was everybody.
They always hear me.
Not that good.
Well, I just ran, I ran a grab from the
I mean, we're ready when you are.
Special meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notices of this meeting were sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on October 22nd, 2025. In addition, notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on aforementioned date, and have remained continuously posted. Mayor Vitale?
Here.
Councilman Ramos?
Here.
Councilwoman Burns?
Here.
Councilman Fenton? Councilwoman Testa?
Here.
Councilman Gian?
Here.
Councilman Cortez?
Here.
Please rise for the flag salute, remain standing for the invocation.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is most appropriate that in this country, which was founded on the bedrock of religious freedom for all people, that we take this opportunity to ask for guidance. First, we give thanks for the freedoms that we share. In particular, we appreciate our freedom of speech. Second, we ask for guidance in the decisions that we deliberate on this evening. We all do not share the same opinion on each topic to be considered, but we must evaluate the views of others. Therefore, we ask for guidance so that the people of Point Pleasant Beach benefit from our decisions. Third, we ask blessings for those assembled here this evening, as well as all the residents of Point Pleasant Beach.
Good evening, everybody. I'll start with approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the October 21st council meeting?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Ramos?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burns?
I'm going to abstain.
Councilwoman Testa?
Yes.
Councilman Gian?
Yes.
Councilman Cortez?
Yes.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the October 7th executive session minutes?
I make a motion.
Second.
Councilman Ramos?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burns?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Testa?
Yes.
Councilman Gian?
Yes.
Councilman Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And finally, a motion to approve the October 21st, 2025 executive session minutes.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Ramos?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burns?
Abstain again.
Councilman Testa?
Yes.
Councilman Gian?
Yes.
Councilman Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call up our CFO, Steve Gallagher, to talk about the best practices worksheet.
Hello, how are you all doing tonight?
Good.
So,
You can take that out and hold it if it's easier, yeah.
Like it's karaoke.
yeah, exactly. You don't want to hear me sing. No, I'll stick to the numbers, thank you. Every year, we're required by the Division of Local Government Services to complete the best practices inventory. And this year's no different. The overall inventory this year had a total of 43.5 points that we needed to get, which guarantees the 100%. The minimum we needed to score on it was a 32. The overall score we did was 39.5, so we missed a few questions. But the questions that we missed were, one was a question that we should be asking about people's being prevented from taking public office if they've committed some kind of an offense. And we're supposed to now ask that question. And I discussed it with Human Resources to see if we could get that included. The other one was ACCA reporting. We're supposed to send a copy of our report that we sent to ACCA to the state as well. I couldn't determine whether they were done or not, so I had to answer no. Some of the other questions were just, the similar type of things. But on the important things like do we maintain a general ledger, are financials good, are the audit clean, no previous year comments or recommendations and things like that, overwhelmingly yes. And, we did very well as a town, and we're going to get 100% of our aid, and that's a good thing.
Perfect.
And that's pretty much about it. Do any of you have any questions regarding the inventory?
I went through it, read it, and I found one where we answered yes, electric charging stations
Yes.
in town. Help me out.
I believe they're over by the side of the parking lot here.
Okay.
I thought I saw them.
I don't think we have any.
We can revisit that, but.
Yeah.
No?
Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you
Steve.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good
Steve.
evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
All right, moving on, Councilman Cortez on the curb cut for 229 Ocean Avenue.
Thanks, Mayor. Pretty simple. This is west side of Ocean Avenue, 229. The lot is subdivided, which is allowable with the 25-foot wide lots. So the applicant wants 2 curb cuts, max 13 feet for a single car garage, which is according to our ordinance. Unfortunately, we're going to lose 2 parking spots on Ocean Avenue. They tried to shift one, but there was a fire hydrant down going south, so you gotta stay 10 feet away from that. So 2 parking spots will be lost. They did get county approval because Ocean County, that was my question back to Kristen Concone. Ocean Avenue is a county road. They did get county approval for the curb cuts. So, there will be off-street parking. They're gonna be set back. The houses, according to the plans that are in our, look, they're gonna be set back. So you'll be able to put a car in the garage and a car in the driveway without blocking the sidewalk. So technically, you're losing 2 spots on the street, but 4 spots off the street, if you count the 2 garages and 2 driveways. Kristen doesn't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with this, but it's all up to you if you want to add it to the agenda.
Anybody have any issues?
Any comments?
Okay, yeah, to the agenda.
I'll make that 1BB.
1BB?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Moving on to committee reports, Council President Ramos.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy Veterans Day to all our veterans out there. Thank you for your service. I guess I'm Deus. I didn't forget you are.
Thank you.
Election is now behind us. I want to congratulate, I see them in the audience, Kitty Stillifson and John Dixon on their victory. I know that you guys will be a tremendous asset to the town, and I know you'll do the hard work. So looking forward to working with you guys both in January. I also want to recognize E.J. Geiger, who was not successful in his campaign, but I appreciate his willingness to serve and appreciate his volunteerism, participation, and input to help make Port Pleasant Beach the best it can be. That's what it's all about. With our Board of Education, Antrim Elementary and Middle Schools were named the U.S. Best List for 2026. We had the strongest high school sports season in a few years, and girls soccer is still in the state tournament. Their next game is away on Wednesday. This past Monday and Tuesday, Antrim and the high school respectively held events to honor veterans from our local communities. The district is still waiting for confirmation about who will join the Board of Ed in January. Dr. Greer was reelected, and the county will certify the write-in nominations within the next 2 years. For those of you who don't know, there was no second candidate, so it was a write-in campaign. And I know that there were a few people that were interested and were doing write-ins, so we won't know for 2 weeks. The board has received nominations for Educator of the Year and Support Staff Member of the Year. We look forward to announcing the winners before Thanksgiving. With the fire department, it's been a very busy month for our fire department. The fire department responded to Point Borough for mutual aid, structure fire, and RIT assignment in Lavalette. Trained last weekend with Point Pleasant Borough firefighters at Middlesex County Fire Academy, live fire and gasoline tanker prop. Point Pleasant Beach Fire Department will be training at the Monmouth County Fire Academy in 2 weeks. Fire Department is participating in extrication certification class the weekend of November 22nd for 2 full days of training. Cold weather's upon us. Make sure all non-insulated pipes are protected and summer homes are winterized. I just like to remind everyone that all of these things are performed by our fire companies as volunteers. They donate their time, they donate their skills, they donate their efforts to keep us all and our properties safe. So they're a tremendous group of individuals, and I know we all appreciate everything that they do. So, and they're always looking for members, so if anyone is interested, feel free to. Next week, we will be attending the League of Municipalities, and I'm proud to be attending the Sustainable Award Luncheon for our green team to be officially re-awarded the Sustainable Jersey Silver Award status for the 2nd year in a row. So that's tremendous. And finally, I have our police department report. Sign up for Everbridge alerts today. Point Pleasant Beach now offers emergency alerts through Everbridge. Stay informed about important dates and emergencies. To sign up, simply text 08742 to 888-777. Join today and help spread the word. Officers from the Point Pleasant Police Department are once again participating in the No Shave November December. That's why we have our chief looking so elegant tonight. To raise funds for cancer research and other men's health issues. The campaign started in 2009, and since then, more than $2 million has been raised. So it's a good cause. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Burns?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mike, for all that. I concur with our, with what all the words you said, use about our fire department and EMTs. They really are. I mean, they go above and beyond all the time. Congratulations to Kitty Stillifson and John Dixon. Looking forward to serving with you guys. As promised, the motor vehicle mobile unit will be back in town at Laurel Avenue Firehouse on Friday. I've had some cancellations, which I've kept pretty active, so I still have a few available. If anybody has the need, just reach out to me tomorrow, and I should be able to accommodate you. And then thank you again to the DPW for all you do day in and day out. And that's it. That's all I have today.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Testa?
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everyone. Happy Veterans Day. I know you probably touched base on a little bit about the event that Mayor Wellness had, but I did see some pictures, and it was a nice turnout. It was a very nice thing that that we had, and that people were. It was nice especially for our seniors to go to and see that. So thank you to everyone that has served our wonderful United States. So appreciate you all. Congratulations to Kitty and to John on your victory. Council's very lucky to have you serve our community. So I wish you all the best. I would also like to acknowledge E.J. Geiger for running your campaign, and like you said, Councilman Ramos, although he ran a good campaign, he is just a great person too, and we appreciate all that he does for our town. So I hope he continues to do that. Let's see. Beautification. Let's see. There's some new signs that are at Lake Louise and the bird sanctuary at the Lake of the Lilies was installed. So those are new. Greens will be arriving next week, so we can start decorating our planters, along with, I guess, all the Christmas decorations are going to be going up this week. So look forward to that, getting our town ready for the holidays. For beautification, for the arts, we had our winners. We hand-delivered the checks. For the scarecrows. So the #1 winner was Sunny from Sunshine Daydream. Second winner Barbie Katie's Hair Salon, and the third was Blue by Salon. So, I thought for sure, beautification was gonna win for their.
It was good.
Yeah.
They were all really,
They were
They were all
good.
good, so those were our three winners, so congratulations to them. And the other thing I wanted to mention was, it's starting to get cold again, and I know that, like, for like alerts, like when it gets too cold, when the temperature drops, for people where they can go for shelter for warmth, I know that Point Pleasant Beach is one of the locations, and I know they had mentioned that if we have something set up for that, I think it would, when the temperature drops to.
I mean, we have warming stations.
Warming
Warming
station.
Yeah.
stations, we have them set
Yeah.
up. So I just wanted to put that out there again, since the temperature's
The
starting to
county
get a little
coordinates
cold.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the county that we're in that, so just if anybody, if you see anyone and they know, like, let them know where to go. And obviously, if anybody's in need of, food or clothing or things like that, just reach out to us, that we can help out in any way as a town, come together for those. So I just wanted to put that out there, since the weather is gonna start dropping and getting cold. And, that's really it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Gann.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody at home. Congrats to John. Congrats, Kitty. Happy Veterans Day to my fellow vets. Open space. I have quite a few things for them. They would like the Coast Guard station to go on Rossi. One of the things that we discussed. Newark Ave Park. I guess they were talking about doing the community gardens there at one point. But the recommendation from Open Space Committee is that the park, is to be sold in the future, and then add that to open space funds. Open Space does not want any of the tax dollars spent on anything at Newark Ave Pocket Park without, talking to the Open Space Committee first. Niblick Ave, the little park on Niblick Ave, they would like to do some additions to that park, add a little walking path and a small boardwalk at the end of the bulkhead there. They would like to use their 2024-2025 budget money for renderings for the lakefront properties, around town. They also have a request for a $10,000 increase in their budget for this year, 2026 coming out. Not sure about that, but we can take a look at that. They want to do some enhancements in access to current lakefront properties with that money. They would also like to remove Marissa Vaness and replace her with June Kuzo, and fill the open position that they have, the other one with Chris Kerman. So I'm not sure if we can do that tonight. The mayor and council have no objections to that tonight, we can do that tonight. So they're volunteering for those positions. And they would also like to add high school students, representatives as well, to the Open Space Committee. There was also talk about open space funds being spent without knowledge to the Open Space Committee. I'll get to that in the other part in a second. Parking Authority, they awarded a contract for lawn care starting next spring for 3 years to Estate Lawn Management. They've been in contract with Point Pleasant Beach Parking Authority for a while for snow plowing. The sick trees were removed in the Kramer lot, and the Shade Tree Commission planted more trees there, so you see more trees that fly. They just had their audit that was completed, they passed with flying colors. Also, there was talk about restoring their annual allotted money. So that's the end of my committee reports, but I would like to add and address a few things. I learned several months ago that the Parking Authority hasn't been getting their share of funds for several years. Hopefully this will be corrected going forward. I know I spoke to some people about that committee getting their money. That led me to start looking into some other things for financials, which led me to the endowment funds. So I contacted Councilman Cortez to get his knowledge on the endowments, which has now led us down a rabbit hole, which is still being looked into. But it appears that money has been spent, moved, and shifted from one, if not several endowments to others, which I'm not even sure if that's legal. But the endowments are not being spent properly. The endowment committee hasn't even met in the past 3 to 4 years. So I'd like been approving all the money expenditures for these endowments, and who's been signing the checks, and who's been authorizing the shift from one endowment to another, if that is happening. Which then related now to open space funds. From what I was told, have been spent on everything else in this town except actual open space. From paying the bathroom attendant at the inlet, to spending over $130,000 on benches throughout the town, and the list goes on. All this without actually speaking to anyone from the open space committee. I understand that us up here, we approve things to be paid up here, but we are not informed from what accounts. So we can't tell you if it comes from a certain fund or an endowment, or those items are taken from. But the funds are the funds, and they should not be manipulated to pay for normal day-to-day business transactions. The one thing I can tell you, whoever's approving these purchases of the endowments or open space, et cetera, has some answering to do. Things are still being looked into, but honestly, the stop button should be pressed right now on any further payments out of our open space funds and any endowment funds until all of this can be sorted out. That's my recommendation. That's all I have to say about those three issues. Also, since we're talking about several ordinances tonight, I'd like to add the smoking ordinance as part of the discussion that we've been talking about, and also the gazebo ordinance as well, since zoning has been asking for this change for quite some time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Cortez.
Thank you, Mayor. First, welcome everybody. Congratulations, John, Kitty. Look forward to working with you up here. Before I start, we have November anniversaries, 3 of them. From our building department, Don Baldwin, 4 years. DPW/water department, Mike Ormsby, 36 years. And our tax collector, Jen Coyne, 20 years. Anniversaries this month. Public property, buildings and grounds, that's my standing committee, not too much. DPW will be taking down, they haven't already today, the veterans banners, and we'll be putting up the Christmas banners on the light poles, along with the snowflakes. Jack Johnson met with the company that we approved at the last meeting, that will be putting up our existing garland with new lights around it, around the light poles. And when that's all said and done, I will be up in the bucket and I will put up the swag that goes across Bay Avenue like I've done the past 13 years.
Can you just make sure all the lights are working on that slab?
What's that?
All the lights are on that slab.
The lights are all working. We have 4 swags and we picked the 7 segments that are the best out of the basement. The Shade Tree Committee, I'm the liaison. Like Councilman Gant said, they presented their, through an email, their proposed draft budget request. I will go over that, discuss that with them, and hand that into the Finance Committee once all's said and done. Just to elaborate a little bit on what Councilman Gant said about the endowment fund, I did a lot of homework. The bylaws. It's a 501c3 fund. The maximum donation can be 10 grand, and that is tax deductible. If they haven't met in about 4 years, the creation of an endowment fund is by the mayor with the consent and approval of council. And once it's created, the trustees are the ones that administer and disperse any money or vote to replace any resigned individual off the trustees committee. The council and the mayor, we don't have any control over that disbursement of money. But obviously over the past, if they haven't had meetings in 4 years, money's been, been utilized. And it's illegal. There's no filing, there's no tax. So Councilman Gant and I are just trying to we're going down the rabbit hole. And we're going to try to uncover what's been going on. I have sent an email about 2 weeks ago to our finance department just to get some records over the past 3 years, and I still haven't gotten them yet. I will be double checking with them tomorrow. And the last thing I want to mention is, Mayor, happy 50th birthday. found out by pictures on Facebook. You know, that you were out of the state.
Yeah.
And I get it, by our code book, if you're gonna be out by for 3 days or more, you're supposed to submit in writing to the council president, which is all it says. The council president happened to be with you. And like I said, out of a common courtesy, I didn't know, I can't speak for anybody else up here. If you're gonna be out, or both of you at least are gonna be out, because the council president assumes the responsibility of being the mayor when the mayor is absent. If you're both gonna be absent, I looked up the law, and I know Councilwoman Testa was told by Council President Ramos that she would be the acting mayor, and that is accurate. The council person with the, seniority with the most years, and I believe you have 6 years. That's not in our municipal code book. And that doesn't happen, I think this is the first time I remember it happening in all my years up here. But I think it needs to be spelled out in the code book, just spelled out, like if both the mayor and the council president are out of town at the same time, that the most senior council person is the acting mayor. Granted, on a day-to-day basis, our administrator runs the town unless there's a big emergency. But the whole point of this is, Doug, just like other things I brought up, like Netflix and other things, a simple email. I think there's a lack of communication, and I don't know why.
Andy, I reached out to Councilwoman Testa
Yeah.
and let her know,
Yeah.
both Council President and I
Right.
were going out.
Right. Okay.
And the borough administrator knew I was out, so that's,
When
I
does the
covered.
responsibilities
I
start?
covered that.
I mean, I served under 3 other mayors, and they all would send out like an email or say, hey, I'm gonna be out of town. It's just courtesy.
I covered my bases with who I needed to talk to.
Oh, so you don't wanna talk to me?
And I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm saying the borough administrator and
Okay.
Councilwoman Testa
Okay.
knew that I was out of town.
Thanks, Mayor. That's all I have. I see where it's going. Okay.
All right.
Just because my name was mentioned, I would say, we still had our cell phones and we still were
Right.
in communication, and we still spoke to individuals in the town if there was a question about anything.
Yeah.
Just like my job, my hotel runs 24/7, you
I
know, I'm out of
understand.
town, we're reachable by phone. It's not like.
I
it's-
understand technology, but then I'm just saying it's a common courtesy to let, I think, the governing body, because it's embarrassing when you have to find something out on social media, or when somebody calls you that is a resident that you represent, and asks you a question, you say, I don't know, on anything like Netflix, I don't know. What's going on? I don't know why the crowds are there. It's embarrassing. That's all I have to say.
You made your point. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
All right. So first off, congrats to Kitty and John for their win. Looking forward to serve with you. And as that goes, congrats to EJ. Did a great job running, put a lot of work in, and kept it positive. So kudos to him. The referendum passed significantly. 63% of the town voted to purchase the property, which I thought was a great win. Despite Councilman Cortez's artistic masterpiece depicting the boat ramp that wasn't even discussed, despite the Republican Club sending an email to its members calling the purchase of this property a conspiracy, and despite the Open Space Committee changing their tune after several emails at the last minute and meeting minutes that advocated for the purchase of 113, 115 Channel Drive. So despite all that, the residents thought it was a great idea, so 63% voted to pass the referendum. Borough Administrator and I were in communication with the county to let them know that the referendum passed. So they have ordered their own appraisals on the property, even though we furnished our two. We will continue meetings with the county to determine the next steps on that. Stop and Shop, Borough Administrator and I met with the Norcus family a few weeks ago. Still no groceries lined up as of now. They're discussing their options with the building. I actually went out and reached out to probably 10 or 15 of the up-and-coming grocers on the East Coast to see if there's any interest in coming to Point Pleasant Beach. I heard back from 2 who asked for more information, which I provided to them, so hopefully one of them will be interested in coming into town. That leads me to talk about the the TD Bank, which is closing on January 29th of next year. And again, I'm in contact with some of the other smaller banks to see if they have an interest in adding a Point Pleasant Beach branch. So we're on top of that, and hopefully we'll be able to report some good news soon. On the endowment fund, very timely comments because prior to this meeting, the Borough Administrator and the CFO and I had a meeting to talk specifically about the endowment fund and collectively decided that we are going to close the endowment fund and reappropriate those funds that are there to the rightful trust accounts and other accounts. So we'll be doing that over the next few weeks, hopefully before the next council meeting. So the endowment fund will be officially closed. I had a meeting this morning with the downtown business owners to discuss alternatives for store owners to park so they don't take spaces on Arnold Ave. That was a big topic of discussion this morning. I know Councilman Miggott, when he was in office a few years ago, put together an initiative to have them park in the railroad lot. That was kind of looked down upon a little bit because of obviously now the weather being cold. But we're going to talk about some options. We also talked about having one day a month where all the businesses stay open late, say at 8, 9 o'clock p.m. to help make downtown more vibrant. We also talked about closing down the roads in the summertime months like Manasquan does. So a lot of good conversation this morning on how to help the downtown businesses and just make the town overall a vibrant and a destination.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure thing.
Is that would be 2 nights then with it, because you have ladies night that they stay open, and then they would have an additional night?
Additional night, yep.
Thank you.
Council President mentioned it in the police report, but the police department rolled out Everbridge. Now they have a text option. I highly encourage all the residents to sign up for that. It was instrumental during the last nor'easter where they were putting out messages before the storm and during the storm, and it's a very, very advantageous tool to have. So it takes a few seconds to text that number that Council President talked about. I'm looking to form a committee soon for 2 events for next year. The 250th birthday of America, for something along the lines that we would do an event around 4th of July, and then another committee for the 25th anniversary of 9/11. So if anybody's interested in joining that committee, it's open to all residents. Let me know, and we'll probably start meeting early next year to start planning something for that. So I think, 2 events that are very timely that we should have some committees, not just the governing body or town committees, but anybody else who's interested in that. Mayor's Wellness, yesterday we hosted a Veterans Day program, which was phenomenal, and a lunch honoring local war hero Len Bud Lamel. There was a short documentary about his life that was narrated by Tom Brokaw, that was actually on Tom Brokaw's news channel. And then his nephew Chip DeCorsia came out and spoke about his life. I knew a little bit about Bud Lamel, but I learned a lot more after hearing that and seeing some of the artifacts. It was an awesome event. We had upwards of 60 people attending. Our next 2 events, November 24th, we have the Crystal Bowl sound session, and then December 8th, we're doing a holiday party that is RSVP only. We're looking for, it's usually in the women's club, we're looking for an ulterior destination because we think we're gonna have over 100 people there. So more to come on that. And then the bids awaiting the first round of funding, which would come in February 2026. So the first initiative they want to tackle is branding the downtown with the logo, having a website done, and social media to drive people to our downtown. And then finally, the Chamber of Commerce wants me to let everyone know the tree lighting is scheduled for November 28th, the Friday after Thanksgiving. And that's all. Turn it over to Joe for the administrative report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on the Coast Guard Station. As most are aware, we received the results from the lead paint, mold, and asbestos testing, which resulted in positive findings for each of the building. We spoke to Ray Savacool, who is our engineer, and another T&M associate who specializes in remediation of these contaminants. We spoke at length of the proper steps moving forward, either with full remediation or what's known as stabilization. And we're still in the process of this review, and we'll have more definite recommendations to Mayor and Council with the proper steps here going forward. So that's to come in the next couple weeks. I was also informed by members of the Historical Commission that the Beautification Committee has donated Christmas wreaths to be placed on the Coast Guard Station for this holiday season. So they're gonna be putting wreaths up on the building, and I offered the assistance of DPW to help out. They have that truck, you guys can go in the bucket, right, get the elevation you needed, so, looking forward to seeing that. Reached out to JCP&L, we did a street light survey, and, we found 53 lights that need to be, taken care of, so we sent that to JCP&L. And, finally, the second water tank, which was supposed to start in the spring, is going to start Wednesday, next week. Scheduled to be painted starting on Wednesday, November 19th, so they will, they're ahead of schedule on that, so, which is great.
And the first one's completed?
The first one's completed, the second one's starting, Wednesday, probably going to the new year. Then there'll be probably a little bit of a lull before, well, we have to get them on
The monopole,
pull up before we do the third one, so. That's all I got.
Good, thank you, Joe. Eileen?
Okay, there was a revised agenda posted today. Give me a second. We added a matter to executive session, and then changed one act to a memorialization. We added items 1Y, 1Z, and 1AA. We're also adding 1BB, which is the curb cut. 2I was changed from 11 special officers to 12. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up to first public participation, agenda items, and ordinances, but we'll do a separate discussion on the ordinances. So agenda items only, minimum of 5 minutes, or maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and address when you come up. Dave? Yeah.
Good evening, Dave Cavanero, 118 Parkway. 1F, bronze black, what was that for?
It's, for, Fisherman Memorial and, Christine Rails tree plaque.
Okay, thank you. And 1G, the Coast Guard molding test, 8,281, who pays?
So we're gonna figure that out, but most likely it's gonna be the borough, but we're gonna figure that out.
Okay. But this is an tacky question, when the borough pays, where do they get the money?
There's some money set aside, I think, for the Coast Guard, station, so probably take it from there.
Okay. And on closed session, you have 118 Channel Drive still. And I know you're not telling me what you're talking about behind closed doors.
113 you talking about?
113, 115, yes. But you said you spoke with the county. Do you have a guarantee that they're going to either take it all or half, or is that still a discussion?
Still a discussion.
Okay. If they say they can't or won't, do you still move forward?
I would like to, yes.
Okay. And who decides the offering price?
For the property,
Yes.
I mean, that's been negotiated, I don't know, Mike, do you wanna chime in?
I think that goes to the mayor's point about there being ongoing discussions between the county and the borough in terms of, and if the county is participating, how that arrangement will be worked out. Those details we have to talk about in closed.
Right.
We're happy to disclose those
My
numbers.
concern is, and I'm not asking you to commit to a price, last time you paid full ask minus the cost of remediation. For a property that's been on the market for so long, and nobody else seems to be interested in it, I wouldn't understand why you would pay full ask. However, I will leave you with that parting thought. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. One last one. The ordinance 2025-32, traffic. You don't want cars parking on the sidewalk. I thought that already exists.
It does, Title 39.
You wanna save that for when we?
That's up to you, I guess it's up to the governing body if you wanna have essentially a second public on the discussion. Or actually, are you looking to have the comments, Mayor, as part of the second public?
Yeah,
Okay.
for the ordinances.
Ordinances are on second.
What we have for discussion only, so we could discuss it then. We'll set up a separate.
I will suggest that if there is a discussion among the council members, and Mr. Martin is here as well, that might help explain some of the ordinances.
Right.
And hopefully that informs the public a
Right.
little bit. We can answer any
Why don't we
questions.
take
That
the
way we're not
ordinances
going back
in
and
order
forth.
and let
Yeah.
them discuss, that's it.
Okay, who's next? Kate?
Katie Stolzen, 54 Channel Drive. Did I hear it correctly that you're going to close down the endowment fund?
Correct.
Do you guys have to vote on that?
No,
Or just like
separate.
shut down?
Yeah,
If you wanna weigh in, but.
Yeah, I'd like to look at the governing documents of the endowment fund. I haven't been involved with it at all, so I would certainly want to take a look at it.
Right, I just feel like now that we're like kind of seeing so many flaws in it, it's just an opportunity to fix those flaws and really utilize the endowment fund for like the tool that it really could be, especially when we're talking, I know the Coast Guard Station Historical Committee made their own, nonprofit, but with other projects up and coming, that could be a great, like, already established mechanism for, encouraging contributions to the town, since it's already up and running. Just has to kind of be
They're made
cleaned
for
up.
specific things when they make them, like for benches on the boardwalk, or rocking chairs, for police.
Yeah,
or-
for Mother's Day, me and my brother got my mom a garbage can.
Right.
I'm just saying, from me down. I'm just saying, it was like.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it's actually a recycling can, but you know,
You're right,
but I'm
you're
just
right.
saying, it could be like improved upon,
Sure.
rather than just like shutting down. That's a thought.
Yeah, Mike, if you wanna look at that and just.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
also
Let's
thought,
look at the legal.
there
Yeah.
was going to be an ordinance about above garage apartments tonight. Did I see that wrong?
That's in one of the, what we read, some.
Right, that's not on there, right?
It's
No.
not on there, right, okay, and then, so were we gonna talk about these ordinances
Separately,
separately, or,
yes.
so now is not the appropriate
Right.
time, is that what I'm hearing? Okay, all right, thank
Thanks,
you,
Katie.
thanks.
Anybody else? Rob?
Ron Clayton, 109 Chicago. I just wanted to follow up on Dave's, when he said there was some money set aside for the Coast Guard station. Was that from the original, I guess, money that was set aside, you know, as far as the extra $600,000?
Something like that, yeah.
Of that's taxpayer money though, right?
It is taxpayer money.
So technically, that money is gonna be taxpayer, right?
And again, we haven't made a decision yet on where that money's going.
Okay, can I follow up with another Coast Guard? Any costs, you know, as far as what numbers you got as far as remediation goes?
So, yeah, Joe?
Yeah, we got two costs. We have, there's full remediation, and there's a thing called stabilization. They're two separate costs. One, remediation, full remediation is, it's gonna be $200,000. They totally gut the building out. Then there's a stabilization component. We met with Ray Savacool, our engineer, and he brought in one of his associates who somewhat specializes in this area, and he's kind of breaking down the quotes and giving us some realistic numbers for us to work with, what needs to be done, what can be stabilized, what maybe shouldn't be stabilized, so we're not there yet. I don't have the exact numbers, but there's a cost obviously associated with it.
And who's gonna pay for that, once you decide?
Again, we have to decide.
Any time frame on that?
Probably within the next couple of months, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little time.
Right.
We have to, on the borough side, you know, anything that, if the borough's initiating, if it's gonna involve procurement, these amounts, at least the amount just stated, if that holds true, requires bidding, so then you need to draft bid specs, you know, so we're evaluating all sorts of considerations.
And in the meantime, no one is allowed in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are we still considering this an asset?
Yes.
Yes.
For right now.
Okay. 1S, is that, somebody just being hired, you know, not replacing anybody? Is somebody extra?
No, these are a replacement.
Somebody, you know, for somebody retired? Okay, so it's not, we're not adding on?
No,
Okay. Oh, I'm actually for adding on, so that's why I was asking. Same with, 1X, is that replacing people too?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Anybody else? Dan?
Cam Friendly, 1401 Ocean Avenue. Couple things. Coast Guard Station. When we bought the Coast Guard Station, did nobody look into any of this before we purchased it, that all this was gonna need to be done?
There was some due diligence to it. I think a lot of the issues may have occurred after when we had the significant flood in there. But the asbestos and lead paint, I'm sure that it was identified.
And we wanted it. Okay. As far as the flood is concerned, that was caused by not turning off the water in the building, correct?
That's what I understand.
Okay, which brings me to my next point. Shuttleback. We clearly do not have a good history of operating things, taking care of properties, et cetera, in this town. It always seems to be a disaster one way or another. Do we know what the cost is gonna, let's hypothetically say the county and the state come in and, or state come in and pay for the whole piece of property, which I'm pretty skeptical of that myself at this point. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that happens. Do we have any idea what the cost is gonna be to build this park and maintain this park?
We have some ideas. Yep, we have a figure, Joe, what is it, about $650?
A little more than that,
A little more than that.
What about maintenance cost a year, and what's the rateable that we're gonna lose on that property?
I don't know.
Rateable.
What's that, Art?
You shouldn't lose a rateable.
And did we give
There's
any?
two boats that pay rent, that dock there,
Right.
so it's actually.
Are we gonna keep those boats in front of the dock where we're making a park?
I'd like to keep the commercial fishing. I think that adds to the park.
So you won't have any water view of the park, you just
Oh,
have.
you'd still have water.
Yeah, you got it.
Did we give some serious thought to launching kayaks into a small channel with massive fishing boats come piling through all day long in the summertime?
I mean, it's just like launching it from, I mean, it's like accessing that same waterway from, launching it from 7-Eleven. It's the same waterway.
Which
I
is a
think it's a little
terrible,
bit
which is a
of-
terrible idea too.
Well,
frankly.
right. I mean, I think it's
I
on the
just,
kayaker.
I don't know why anybody would, and people do it, and it scares the hell out of me,
Yeah.
because I literally almost killed one of them one day.
Yeah.
I was trying to dock at the
They
wharf
kayak
side,
up
and
and
there was a big fishing boat coming through. There were a couple of kids in kayaks paying absolutely zero attention to what was going on. I was almost to the point where I had a choice to hit them or the fishing boat, which is why I'm highly suggesting that we do not launch kayaks or paddle boards or anything else in there. It's dangerous enough for boats, especially in the summertime. You have all the boats along Flag Island. The channel gets much more narrow between the wharf side and between Flag Island with all the boats, and I just think it's an accident waiting to happen. And I just, I wanna say that, don't get me wrong, we spent a lot of time trying to get a couple of you guys elected, and I love you guys, you're good people, but I'm starting to get concerned with, look, when you vote for Republicans, you vote for fiscal responsibility, you vote for freedom, you vote for deregulation. And what I'm seeing lately with this council is the exact opposite of all of that. The new group that comes out where Maggie put together this thing of everything that was happening today, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is gonna cost more. This is gonna cost more. There's more regulation here. This is gonna be more difficult to deal with. This is a big increase in cost. And I'm going, wouldn't it have been nice to have a sheet of paper that said, we're finding a way to cut a cost on this. We renegotiated this contract. We deregulated this. We got rid of this. That's what we should be looking for. That's what we're looking for from you guys. And a lot of people in this town are starting to get upset that that's not what we're getting. That what we're getting is more taxes, more bills, higher fees, more regulation, more can't do this, more can't do that. I mean, there are people getting tickets for smoking a cigarette on the street corner in the middle of the summer.
Hopefully that's on.
It's getting to a ridiculous level, and what we really were looking for from you guys was to go in the opposite direction that it's been going lately. So, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, can I get a motion to close first public?
I make a motion to close for public participation.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. And then can I get a motion to adopt consent resolution 1 and 2?
I make a motion to adopt consent resolution 1 and 2.
Yes.
Councilwoman Burns? Yes. Councilwoman Testa?
Yes.
Councilman Deanna?
I have one question. Can I still make a motion for the smoking ordinance we put on tonight? And can I also still make a motion for the gazebo ordinance we discussed as well before I, say yes to this, or?
Councilman, since we're in the middle of the vote, I'd suggest that the vote proceed as it's been called.
Okay.
We could chat after that on whether
Sounds good.
you're looking for it to be for discussion or
Yes.
for actual introduction.
Yes.
Councilman Cortez?
Yes. He's waiting for you to recuse yourself.
Okay, there are a number of ordinances. Do you want me to read them by title or?
I would suggest if it's kind of just a discussion item, but through you, Mayor, the council as desired can bring up in order questions. If it's okay with you, I'd go back to Councilman Deanna's question
Yeah.
procedurally.
Yeah, please.
So, are you looking, Councilman, to just discuss the prospect of having an ordinance prepared on those two issues?
Yes. I
Okay.
want to discuss,
Yeah,
those
so
two
I think,
issues.
yeah, I think, since this is listed as discussion, I think it can be an open discussion on what's on the agenda and also if there's any other ordinances that need to be considered.
I'm okay with that.
So we don't have to make a motion to add those on.
Well, I think, Councilman, I would suggest, since they're not on the agenda, perhaps articulating what you're looking to suggest. and
Okay.
then
I'd
make
like
a
to
motion.
make a motion to add smoking ordinance as a topic of discussion for this evening. And I would also like to make a motion to add the gazebo ordinance for the topic of discussion this evening as well.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So this is just to talk about it as part of the session. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll add those at the end. So do you wanna, I need to read off the title, or we just get into it?
I'd say you can just get into it. There's no legal need
There's
to
no
read the
le-
title.
okay.
This is just an informal
Okay.
discussion.
So, 2025-26, the towing services. Any comments or questions from the council?
This is
No,
to,
that just seems,
Yeah, to update everything.
Just looks like the language is.
I guess to the extent I can, I'm happy to just kind of give you
Please.
a
Right.
Yeah.
20-second Reader's Digest, and I might actually defer to Mr. Martin on
Right.
several, if not more, of these, the majority. The towing ordinance, we did review, the borough had a practice of requiring the tow companies to enter into a contract that basically confirmed what your ordinance requires, but there was never a practice of actually issuing a license, even though the ordinance calls for a license. So this is revising the ordinance to reflect your practices, which doesn't involve that license being issued.
Pretty straightforward.
Right. Okay, any questions, comments?
No, it's housekeeping work. I mean,
Right.
It's just
Yeah,
really updating.
I guess, yeah, so
To state,
A lot of these are.
Yeah, so just as background for the public's benefit,
Right.
these ordinances, besides that ordinance kind of came about through our kind of just day-to-day stewardship, but a lot of them were requested by the construction office. We had meetings over the past 2 months to go over a lot of these items that are rather technical modifications that are needed. And it took some time to get them prepared, but they're now prepared. They're on for discussion so that the council and any public can provide comments without needing to take any formal action. If there's a consensus tonight, they can be finalized, if any edits are suggested here for the dais, for introduction at the next meeting, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and then final adoption would be available at the December meeting.
yeah, but that first ordinance 26 is pretty cut and dry. That's simple, just changing that language.
Yep.
Okay, Mike, should I open it up to public?
Yeah,
I
Or
would,
should we
I would
just take over?
suggest the second public would
Would
allow.
be all the
ordinances,
ordinances. Okay.
and we could relax the time.
All right, so moving on to 2025-27, uniform fire safety, fire lanes, keys, and batteries. Mike, do you wanna give the Reader's Digest?
Sure, Mayor, this is, one of those recommended by section specifically on lithium-ion batteries, which I think is the
For
main
the e-bike.
substantive provision. And it also revises some of the fees, I believe, consistent with the code.
Which came to light when we established the e-bike ordinance.
Right.
And the concern we had was, I believe, we had one building that had a severe fire
Yes.
because someone stored their e-bike in their apartment and they plugged it in. And, and part of the discussion that I had with our professional was that, we need to have some kind of safety in there. Really couldn't put it into the e-bike ordinance. It needed to be changed here. So I see a lot of e-bikes, I see a lot of electronic devices these kids are riding, some of them 50, 60 miles an hour. But the whole thing comes down to that these things are dangerous, these lithium batteries are very dangerous, and they need to be in a garage area or in an area where they're not gonna set somebody's house, God forbid, on fire.
And
So-
it's for safety.
And for safety, yeah.
So.
Any other questions, comments?
I'd like to, strike a lot of the fire lanes, but I don't know if that was moved to another ordinance. Mike?
Can I ask Mr. Mark to speak to that?
If you don't mind.
All fire lanes.
I asked for clarification from Mr. Collins. Fire lane list is a living document.
Right.
I have the authority to establish them as needed, but also the land use boards, through their site plan approvals,
Okay.
also establish fire lanes. So as opposed to having to amend the ordinance on a regular basis, the code already allows me to establish them. So what they did was they struck out the list,
Right.
and he worded it so the living document will be maintained in the office. So really, it's gonna encompass what was there already, plus we have to go back through the site plan approvals and add those.
Instead of rewriting an ordinance.
Instead of rewriting an ordinance every time a new development goes up, say the bank gets redeveloped and they require a fire lane, it's just gonna be a living document.
Very good. Thanks, Brian.
Anything else on that ordinance? All right. 2025-28, and chapter 14, street sidewalks, fees, and driveway specs.
So, this one, I believe, Mr. Tronco, provided some, recommendations that, address certain issues that have arisen, involving driveways. So that's what the revisions at the top were. The newspaper dispenser ordinance, which is 14-5, there was a concern about, unsightliness of, these dispensers being, in the downtown area and not properly maintained. So we added in language that the property owner in which it's adjacent to should be expressly consenting to the placement of that dispenser and coming into Borough Hall to express that consent to it being located in front of their storefront, whether it's on the property or on the borough's property adjoining it. The theory being that a lot of these property owners may not even realize that these are out there, to try and get them to be properly maintained.
I have, quite a few questions on this one.
Yeah.
Brian, can you answer?
I can try, sure.
Kristen? Starting on this one, first page, 14-3.5 driveway. Is that residential? All those things under there for residential?
No, this covers all driveways.
All driveways, okay. C, no driveway shall exceed a driveway 20 feet in width. So the maximum curb cut we have is 16 feet for a two-car garage. So we're gonna limit the width of
So
the
this is-
driveway after the,
The 20 feet is already in our ordinance.
okay,
It just wasn't in this section. So
Okay.
it was a conflict.
okay. On the next page,
I
then,
shouldn't say conflict, just not stated.
it was stricken, no driveway shall be more than 25 feet in width or less than 10 feet in width. Is that for, we're gonna allow wider than 25 feet of a driveway?
No.
That's
I'm
strict.
saying,
20
no,
feet.
huh?
No.
Okay.
That's the question you said.
And the next one? Okay. 5 feet off the property line, which is what we have now, right? Driveway is 5 feet off. I think there's a typo, keep going down, H number 2. Pre-existing, not less than 10 feet and not more than the pre-existing width of the entrance. 20 feet? Should that be?
That's going in line with the change from previous. So what it's saying is if somebody comes and asks for a curb cut, a driveway entrance, or just wants to reconstruct it, it's currently 16 feet. They could go to the board and request a larger one, but that still could not exceed the 20 feet.
Okay.
And it's just, it was not in there 20 feet. We
And
have been saying 20 feet.
It was,
20
it's
feet.
in our ordinance in general, it
Right.
wasn't in this section,
Right.
and this specific one was in here, but incorrect.
Right,
So we're just
we just fixed
correcting
it.
things.
We've been doing this already, we're just correcting it in here.
Now, go down to J on that same page, all residential zones where no garage exists, a single car with driveway shall be permitted to exist within the front yard area, subject to the following conditions. Driveway should be no closer than 5 feet to property line, okay. Driveway shall be no closer than 25 feet to an intersection, but it's stricken, the driveway width shall not exceed 13 feet. So that's gonna fall in line with the 20 feet or 25 that's up previous?
Yes, because if we left 13 in, it would be contradicting to the 20.
Okay, so I thought. Next page, curb cut. I kinda like this. You're removing the curb cuts from, it's stricken by the, render a decision by the borough and make a recommendation to mayor and council. Mayor and council shall review the zoning official's recommendation on stricken. So, if they wanna go above and beyond whatever, they're gonna have to go to the board.
Yeah, so
We're not gonna approve,
Correct.
That's the
we're
way I
not
took
gonna
it
approve
as
that.
well.
Yeah, the discussion internally was whether the governing body really statutorily or otherwise should be in the curb cut business. And not to mention also just from a timing standpoint, obviously the zoning officer can act between meetings. So if it were this way, the approving authority would be the zoning official, not the governing body. And I would submit if there was an appeal from the zoning officer under the municipal land use law, that's typically the Board of Adjustment.
Right.
I agree with that.
So we wouldn't have to be doing curb cut.
You're out of a job, baby.
Huh?
You're out of a job.
That's okay. Yeah, it would be nice though if we got notice that
Well,
if we're losing parking, on-street parking,
And
things like that,
That should be part of it when they
with
go
the-
to that.
What's that?
That should be part of it when they go. That
Right.
should be something that,
And then, it complies with the section, there's no loss of, it results in no loss of on-street parking, and it's at least 2 feet from the shared adjoining property line. Now, the curb cut can be 2 feet from the property line, but the driveway has to be 5, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, Brian, that's all.
Anything else on that ordinance?
good stuff.
All right, ordinance 2025-29, amend chapter 13, housing, various technical changes.
Mike, what's the synopsis?
I'm looking here.
And this was a red one.
Yes, there were a couple of minor additions that we made today. Apologies for the timing. The overall, I think initially it's updating it to the current International Property Maintenance Code. The draft that you had from last week actually listed the current one, which is 2021, but we just changed it to say the current one in effect because if that gets updated every 3 years, then we're going to be amending this ordinance in 3 years or less. So that just incorporates by reference the current one. Define.
You added the word maintenance in that, what was it, just International Property Code?
Yeah, they didn't have the term reiterated. Acceptable identification for making an application here internally includes a driver's license or passport or other verifiable document, which is then incorporated into the definitions. The term rental permit is used rather than a rental CO, because I think there's been some ambiguity between a CCO for the sale of the unit versus
Yeah, why,
rental.
We've gotten a lot of communications from the DCA. They're trying to get municipalities to stay clear of the term certificate of occupancy. There's only one certificate of occupancy that's ever issued, and that's through the Uniform Construction Code, when the home is built or renovated. And we ourselves have gotten ourselves in a lot of trouble. Hey, you've been giving me a rental certificate of occupancy for the past 10 years. That means this bedroom is grandfathered. Well, there's no such thing. The only way you get a bedroom is by going through the proper Uniform Construction Code permits. So we're just removing the terms certificate of occupancy from this chapter and putting it, just calling it a license.
Okay. I see you, instead of ending something on December 31st, you're gonna be 3 years from the inspection date.
This was one of the things that we had an issue with from the get-go, and we're told we couldn't change it.
Right.
For accounting in the office and for ease of the property owners. Seasonal licenses are still gonna expire on December 31st of the year. Annual licenses are gonna be expiring 3 years from the date of initial inspection.
Okay.
So it's not gonna clog up the office with annual inspections
Right.
ending at the end of the year, and it's gonna keep those licenses on a 3-year cyclical.
The anniversary date.
Yeah.
Okay. I see just the permanent address for tenants.
That was, for the rental license?
Yes.
That was always in there, but the way it was worded, and again, we had
Yeah.
discussions in the past, the way it was worded, it stated that every occupant needed to be listed.
Right.
That is not the intent. You know, it's there for us or law enforcement, should they show up to address a complaint, who should they be talking to? Who should they be addressing? We don't need a list of every 16,
Person
17, or
should-
23-year-old when mom and dad rented the place.
Right. Construction hours and dates.
That was actually that we cleaned up today,
Yeah.
Councilman.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Martin clarified for me that the way we had it worded,
Right.
it actually could exempt the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, which would be a big
Right.
omission on our part.
That's why.
So we cleaned that up, and so the construction moratorium is essentially expanded to cover the entire Labor Day weekend, just like Memorial Day weekend, so the Thursday prior through Labor Day, and also any Saturday in the peak summer season of July 1st through Labor Day.
Any Saturday, huh?
I think you may have to add that one back in, Saturday.
I think it is on any Saturday that falls between July 1 and Labor Day, is what I have on my,
And again, it just,
Stricken out one
like it says, it just
Okay.
covers commercial construction.
on mine it's there, but we'll,
Yeah, I don't see,
oh, you know what, I'm looking at, no,
no, I don't see it.
okay, got it, I'll get that cleaned up.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all the red lines there.
And we did reduce the fees on the reinspection.
Hmm?
We did reduce the fee back down to $50 for re-inspections.
Right.
That was up to $100 against our will. Last update.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments on that? All right, ordinance 2025-30, amend chapter 12, building invasive plants.
Okay, so this, does involve some fee updates. And I believe this is also the invasive species provisions that were suggested.
Yeah.
And I will note that, I think in the future, there will be a recommended ordinance, special counsel is currently working on the unfit buildings ordinance for an overhaul, but that's not ready at this time.
Are these fee updates, are these fees are the updated amounts what we have been charging, but they haven't been in the code book? Or these are just, are these gonna be adjusted fees in future? Is that too blanket?
That's a yes and a no.
Okay.
I'll be cautious on how I state this.
Okay.
The Uniform Construction Act and the Uniform Construction Code specifically state that these fees are supposed to be reviewed and adjusted on a yearly basis, to cover the costs of the office.
Mhm.
So if I may give an example, Councilman Cortez wants to build an addition on his house. Councilman Ramos is not doing any work on his house. Councilman Ramos should not be paying for your project out of his tax dollars.
Right.
Currently, he is. The
Okay.
Uniform Construction Code portion of the office runs in a deficit every year because we haven't adjusted these fees since 2010.
So, yeah, because the building department shouldn't make a profit, but they should be covered, they should be
Self-sustained.
self-sufficient.
Everything,
Mhm.
any service that you receive, any resident receives, once you walk through that door,
Right.
is supposed to cost the average taxpayer 0 cents
Okay,
if you're not using the services.
right.
So both the fire code, the construction code specifically state that we are supposed to do an audit every year to cover salaries, benefits, vehicle maintenance, electric for the lights, gas for the cars, gas for the heats. To my knowledge, that hasn't been done. I've been working on it.
Okay.
Just the very rough numbers, and not including healthcare costs, pension costs, we are running significantly in the red for Uniform Construction Code. So,
They're not operating at a loss.
yes.
Okay.
So, in a sense, it's costing the taxpayer who doesn't do any construction work
Right.
money, which that should not be happening.
Shouldn't happen. Yeah, it should, like the water department,
So,
self-sufficient.
Most of these
Okay.
fees
Mhm.
are, I shouldn't say most, some of these fees are what we already charge. They're just not codified.
Okay.
Some of them are increases. I mean, they have to be, again, we have to,
Right.
cover costs. But again, it's a user fee.
But just looking at it, it's spelled out in here, like, for example, plumbing subcode fees, minimum plumbing permit fee shall be, the 7 is crossed out, it's changed to 85. So it went up. The other one, the one underneath it, went from 15 to 20 for fixture.
Right.
It's spelled out in here. And I would imagine the ones that don't have that change are probably existing, which should be codified. Am I correct in that statement?
Well, if you look specifically at the mechanical fees,
Yeah.
we have 0 mechanical fees codified in our ordinance.
Okay. But that's why I'm seeing
Right.
all these now
red,
on
all
here.
these new red line, yeah.
Yeah, the mechanical subcode got added, they're all, and so any addition is underlined, and you'll see that
Yeah.
entire section is underlined, which reflects that it's new.
Every fee that's
So-
listed here is underlined, and that's because we're codifying it into, it's not that we're, all of a sudden, we decided we're gonna come up with all these fees that we're gonna start charging people. They're already in existence, we're just codifying them on, am I correct?
With some increases.
Yeah, no, I understand some increases, but what I'm seeing here, there are, these all existed, none of these are new,
Yes.
okay, that's my point.
Well, I'm just curious about the fees, but yeah, so from now on, every year, we will do, audit and. Great.
All right, any other questions on that one? Moving on, 2025-31, amend chapter 11, water utility hydrant and meter fees permits.
I don't have anything on this one.
And I don't have any go off there. That's very typical.
Seeing no questions, move on.
You're getting water.
Any comments from the council? Questions?
Yeah, anybody, come on, somebody else have some questions.
Okay.
I'll get everything.
2025-32, amend chapter 9, traffic, vehicle parking, and vehicle parking prohibitions and fine.
From an enforcement standpoint, would you be able to speak to that, Brian?
Well, chapter 9 is
Yeah.
enforced by the police department.
Exactly.
This discussion was when this was last updated. Excuse me, this wasn't updated. This verbiage was added in chapter 14. And what you did was you just mirrored the chapter 14 language in chapter 9. So when the police go out to enforce it, they're enforcing the same thing that we would enforce.
Thank you.
So it's
Yeah.
already in the code.
Yep.
It's just duplicated in 2 different. One, code enforcement can't enforce anything under chapter 9. That's the police department.
Yeah, so why is this, if it's covered, If the citation is covered under chapter 39, through the police department, then why do we have an ordinance for parking on the sidewalk when they can just issue title 39 summons for parking on the sidewalk anyway?
Is there a Title 39 statute you guys write under that covers that?
Blocking a sidewalk?
Yeah, I believe it is. Title 39.
I don't know if this is
Blocking the-
necessarily-
We write
blocking the
under
sidewalk unless
the
there's a
borough
driveway on the
ordinance
sidewalk.
because the township, the fees go to the township. Title 39 goes to the state.
And I
Yeah,
do
no,
think
it
this is
does.
slightly, this may be broader than Title 39 because it's parking between the curb and the sidewalk, which I guess in theory you might have a situation where you're not blocking the
This also
sidewalk.
covers the delineated parking area. So this covers the parking on your lawn as well.
Parking in the, outside of delineated. I used the term lawn years ago, and somebody said I have stones, it's not a lawn.
And that's the issue. It was, we've laxed enforcement on it. We've
Yeah.
tried to do more public outreach and communication, but,
Mhm.
you know, a few years ago, it was a big problem, and we were asked to enforce it.
Any other comments, questions? Ordinance 2025-33, amend chapter 5, licenses, general, various tech amendments.
Sure, Mayor. So we have that identification edit as well. And then principally, this was updating the fees, which had not been updated in quite some time. We adjusted them for inflation based upon when they were last updated, and that's what's reflected with the CPI calculation to adjust them. And there's also one technical item about unlighted lots.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess, Mr. Martin can speak to it further probably, but I guess there's been an issue where cars are parked in lots that are not lit, but the folks, the operators say, well, we're not operating, it's just that people happen to still be parking there, and then they can park after sunset, which defeats the entire purpose of the ordinance, which is to ensure there's lighting if people are there after sunset, so this would prevent the unlighted lots from operating unless the vehicles are out before.
Before dawn or after dark, yeah.
Any questions or comments on this?
No.
All right, ordinance 2025-34, amend chapter 3, police regulations, various amendments.
So this is where the invasive plants, new section is codified, and it was deleted from the prior.
Why did we go from 10 inches to 8 inches for a violation, out of curiosity?
This has been something that we've been discussing with the governing body for years. At one point, it was discussed that we want to go down to 6. We felt 6 was a little extreme, but the way our ordinance is written, by the time the growth height gets to 10 inches, we're required to notice them and give them 10 days to rectify. If you're talking a growth season, that 10 inches is now 12, 14.
Right.
So we just discussing it with the administrator, the attorney, and the mayor, was 10 was figured, 8 was figured as a moderate.
Discussed it, should discuss it with the council. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
That's what we're here doing.
Yeah, that's right.
And we allow garbage disposals?
Garbage disposal is always prohibited.
I'm saying it's all stricken.
Yes, so discussing that with Jack Johnston, and he's been here for quite a few years. He has no recollection of why that was ever restricted. The thought was that our system wasn't capable of supporting food waste. With the upgrades that we've had over the past few decades, he doesn't see it being an issue. So, it's unfortunate. It would be impossible for us to enforce.
Exactly.
Because since we go into every house, it's a rental. The countless number of garbage disposals that are added without permits or after, it'd be futile to attempt it, so.
And then finally, 2025-35, amend chapter 19, development, various provisions.
Sure, so, first in 1907, the amendment that you got today, the two-family dwelling definition is modified to remove the term unpierced between the, vertical wall that is used to define it, which I believe is kind of an enforcement issue. I think that term has been found to be ambiguous by our folks and the municipal court, and removing that term will allow for enforcement, to be stronger. In section 19-10.1.5, Mr. Martin mentioned that it's difficult to enforce the flood elevation because there isn't a marker that delineates that. So this would add a requirement that when the surveyors at the subject property, when it's being, I guess, inspected, to have them place a marker at that elevation so that it could subsequently be more easy enforcement. And then for the garages in chapter 19, those were, requests that were made by, Ms. Strongcom. I think the intent is to be consistent with the prior provisions we discussed.
Any questions or comments from the council?
I did with the garage thing. Didn't the state come out and say that you could build residential over top of the garage as a second dwelling? Any discussion on that?
Talking about the, Governor Murphy's discussion
Yeah.
about like accessory dwelling units.
Accessory dwelling.
There was discussion, I don't believe anything's.
I don't think
passed.
that's, it didn't pass yet.
Because that's on here.
I have, a question, the shed. Shed's gotta be, it says 5 feet off, of any other structure on the property. The shed still have to be 5 feet off the property line?
Correct.
Can that be, do we really have to have them 5 feet off the property line? I mean, 2.5 feet, 3 feet? I spoke to Ray Savacool, and he thought that 5 feet might be a little excessive, just enough room to where you can get repair and paint behind it, but not out. Is there a reason?
Is there a process for the bulk requirements? Does it have to go through review for the zoning board first?
I don't think it would have to go through the zoning board first. I do believe that this chapter 19 amendment, at least with what's currently written on the garages, does need to go to the planning board for a master plan consistency review.
The planning board, I had no one.
Yeah, so they would get an opportunity to review and make any suggestions.
So I guess if you wanted to change it to 3 feet, 2.5 feet, you could. It would just need to be reviewed by.
Correct, so you guys would initiate that, and then the planning board would.
Yeah, because now you're also saying what the size of a garage can be. Right?
Well,
As of right now,
these-
there's no size of a garage in town.
There are, it's in our bulk requirements.
Okay.
It's just not codified.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, is it fair to say that the bulk requirements essentially restrict garages in this manner, but this makes it more explicit what exactly? it is?
Right, so the chart that we have posted, the bulk requirements, it's in there already, it's just not codified in this ordinance.
Right.
So it's led to issues that we're just trying to resolve and prevent from occurring again.
And this is for an accessory, a detached garage. But yeah, I
Yeah,
just
but
think,
shouldn't that,
I just think.
shouldn't that, I mean, if you have the size lot to build a ginormous garage, then who's to say you can't? Right, if we're saying that you can't have it a certain size, if there's some lots in town.
Again, it is already in our bulk chart, the bulk restrictions chart. This is just fleshing it out in words.
Any other comments or questions? All right, Councilman Gant, I don't know I forgot the ordinance numbers offhand, but the smoking ordinance,
I don't know the ordinances off the top of my head, so I apologize, but I know they've been brought up numerous times by residents, by people visiting, people have been here in front of the council chambers talking about the ordinance. Listen, I'm not a fan of smoking, but we shouldn't be taking anybody's rights away. I agree completely, 100%. So people that walk off the boardwalk and stand on the street and have a cigarette, or they drive here for 2 hours and get out in the parking lot and decide to have a cigarette, they're just getting crushed with fines. And I think the smoking ordinance that we have is
so what exactly, what
Way over
part of the
the-
smoking ordinance do you want to change?
quite a bit. So I would like to, send Mike an updated list of some changes that I would like to make onto the, smoking ordinance. I'll do it myself. But if I wanna keep no smoking on the boardwalk, I wanna keep no smoking in the parks, and no smoking on our municipal lot, but anywhere else in town, if you're outside. I really don't care if you smoke. I really don't. You're in America. It's a free country. You can walk down the street and have a cigarette if you want. If you wanna go fish at the inlet and you wanna have a cigarette, then you should be able to go sit down and fish and enjoy your day. I just think it's very overregulated with the smoking ordinance, so I think we should change it.
Any comments or questions? I mean, I have a few, but I'll open it up to the council.
I would wanna see specifics. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
No, we're having a discussion of the abstract, so
Right.
let's have a discussion of specifics. And I think that's something we can continue to
It's a start.
discuss.
It's right here, 3-39.1, it's a pretty lengthy paragraph about where it's prohibited. And I think that's what Mr. Riccolo, when he came in, said he got a ticket for it, was.
It was
Yeah, it was like
contradictory.
east of the tracks and the south, the
East
west
of,
side,
you
the
know,
north end.
Baltimore Avenue to the easterly end of Arnold Avenue, the oceanfront beaches, the inlet, the boardwalk, all public property, including all sidewalks and street ends, you know, the westerly edge of Ocean Avenue, including Ocean Avenue, Parkway, blah, 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 blah.
It's
You know,
too much.
That's what I think Art's alluding to, like, just.
Yeah.
No, I
because he
get
was-
it, I get it.
I think we
Yeah,
cleaned that up
but
a little
I
bit.
think our police department could also give some guidance on that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm happy to have a
And
discussion.
And I'm sure that the police department has a lot better things to do than worry about somebody smoking, honestly. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have other things to do, worry about somebody having a cigarette.
I agree, no smoking on the boardwalk, you know, or leading up to board, but then.
I mean, the street ends, I still have an issue with, and I know you wanna open that up, but.
No, I'm
to-
just.
No, I'm talking about, Councilman Gant, but to me, if you're packed with smokers at the street end on, Arnold or any of the street ends, and you're walking through as a family, that's like your first introduction to the Point Pleasant Beach Boardwalk, is you're going through cigarette smoke, pot smoke, whatever other smoke. I just, no, I don't think the street ends should be open, and I agree, that, I think we need to look at it, and there is a whole list of places where I think we could eliminate that, make it easier for the police department and our visitors and residents, but I would still be opposed to the street ends, I
So-
think.
Right.
And I agree, I understand what you're saying, but this is the scenario that is now. The people that walk off the boardwalk and smoke on the street end, they go to the middle of the street end, so they're not on the sidewalks. So people don't walk by them while they're smoking. What you have now created is, you have a bunch of smokers that go down to the corner of Ocean Avenue street ends, and now they're all sitting on the sidewalk, you can stand on the sidewalk, and now all those people have to walk by them that are smoking next to them on the sidewalk. So you created a worse environment for that people actually walking to the boardwalk than you did for the people that go
So we
stand
can-
in the middle of the roadway.
All right, we
You
can
made
fix
it,
that though.
that's my point, you made it worse.
Right, we can look at that, we can fix that, but, yeah, I would suggest if you send your edits, please include the chief too, so that he can weigh in on it, as well.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
If there's no objection, I'm happy to take whatever the collaboration is and drop it into a formal ordinance that, you know, you guys can take up at the next meeting.
Okay.
Desire.
So,
Okay.
I'll work on that, that's fine.
And then the gazebo ordinance.
So, the gazebo ordinance, it's the same thing. So, zoning has asked a bunch of times, a few times now, and that's why everybody has to go to zoning, because zoning, has approved almost every gazebo that's come in front of them, because there's no language, on what a gazebo actually is. I talked to Mike about it. It's we talked to the planner about it. My issue is for people that go to Home Depot, Lowe's, BJ's, wherever, Costco, and they go buy a big gazebo, and they spend $3,000 on it. They put it up in their backyard to have a nice summer thing, to hang out, a place to sit in their backyard, to enjoy themselves on the property taxes that they pay. Next thing you know, somebody's knocking on our door and saying, here's your $500 fine for not going in front of the zoning board to get a gazebo on a permit. But you can go get approval, or if you spend $2,000 to go in front of zoning, just so you can say yes, because it's not designed what a, or stated what an actual gazebo is. So the point is, as long as you pay us, you can have a gazebo. And again, it's your yard, it's your property. If you can buy it at the store, I understand that it can't be massive. I'm not saying that. I think we should come up with a certain size that it has to be, or smaller. And if it's that size or bigger, then yes, you have to go in front of zoning and you have to do the proper things. But for somebody to try to enjoy their yard, and we're saying, well, you can't buy that at a Costco now unless you pay us $2,000 for the approval, is ridiculous.
Okay, so you wanna come up with some suggested language, and then I would ask that you also copy Chris and Troncone on that,
Absolutely.
and Mike, and then,
We're just trying to do something for our residents.
This issue has come up in the past, and I remember having a preliminary conversation with the borough planner on it. I think it would require some sort of a defined term that, and to what Councilman Gann said earlier, a lot of zoning is, you know, these things are permitted, if it's not listed as permitted, it's not permitted. So essentially gazebo is not a defined term, so it's out. So you guys would be defining a term that's in, and then presumably adding it to the residential zone. So, you know, that's kind of what the ordinance would look like.
I mean, I think that, you know, besides a shed, 3 other structures, you know, a pergola, a gazebo, and in talking with Paul Struncius, a cabana. So I think a pergola has slats and an open roof, so it doesn't encumber anything over impervious lot coverage. A gazebo does have a roof, and he said that whatever, let's say 10 by 10, 100 square feet now is impervious lot coverage. And he said they've got a request for a cabana. And you think like a cabana to me is a shed with electric, maybe a changing room, so that's a little different. But like Art said, you can go to any of the stores and order something, that you have to define what a gazebo is. And talking to Ray Savicol, he said, is it permanent or temporary? And he said he found it in a few other municipalities harder to define permanent. And I'm looking here, but I don't know if it's revised, 19-10.9, temporary structures. It said a temporary structure shall be erected for a period of less than 180 days. So if somebody would have, like.
That's the problem, nobody's gonna
Right.
put their gazebo up for Costco
Take
and then
it
take
down.
it down. It's just
Right.
not, that's not
That's
reality.
silly.
So,
It's not
you know,
reality.
we do define something temporary, but, you know, which is like a tent, party tent. You know, but I agree, people go out and buy these,
You know, as long as it doesn't have any, if it's not, in my opinion, as long as it's not, doesn't have any sides, and you can walk through every side of the gazebo or pergola, then,
pergolas.
like, I don't understand why people can't enjoy their yards.
Right, you'd have to limit the size, define it.
You know?
Some thought has to be.
And the only reason why I'm bringing these up is because we are talking about all the ordinances tonight. That's why I was bringing these up, because we're having a discussion. We're finally having a discussion on the ordinances before we're actually voting on the ordinances. So, which is nice. So I figured I'd bring these two up because I think they should be added, and we've been talking about them for a very long time.
Like you said, if the Board of Adjustment is approving the bulk of these
Right.
things, then we need to just make it easier
Change
for
the ordinance.
residents and
Yeah.
not spend all that money.
again,
That's all.
Yeah.
okay. All right. So that's it for the ordinances. I guess we'll open it up to public participation. I guess we'll keep this at 5 minutes, for any ordinance discussion or anything else that you would like to talk about, and, we will probably invoke Brian Martin. Brian, thank you for all your help, in,
Yeah, Brian,
talking
Yes,
about
thank you for,
Yes.
coming around. Thank you.
I just want to add, it was great working with Brian. He really
Yeah.
put a lot of thought into this and tested me, because we had like a 4-hour marathon
Yeah,
meeting. It
yeah.
was quite a lot of stuff to cover, but I think a lot
But it was
of
good.
well
Yeah.
thought out ideas for you
Yep.
guys.
Okay, who's first? Kitty? Sorry, you so please.
Kitty Stolzen, Channel Drive. So for the one about the rentals with the fee, the certificate permit that comes up for inspection on December 31st, that is confusing to me. because as a landlord, when I get my rental permit, and then it expires December 31st, I can't get a new permit until I get the re-inspection. So just by design, January, February, March, whenever, I'm like not in compliance. Whereas in like olden days, it used to be like, if you got your permit on like April 30th, it was good till April 30th of the following year. So
Is this, annual rental you're talking about?
seasonal, but I think, well, annual rentals are 3
So
years.
can we change it
Annual
to,
3 years, so that you're talking
Yeah.
about seasonal?
Yes.
Okay, so could we change that instead of it expiring on December 31st? It's a.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'd
Brian
like
might
you to weigh in on that.
he might have a
Brian spoke to that.
reason for it, I don't
Yeah.
know.
There was a reason that got.
Well, it's
What's the
easier,
reason?
it's easier for you guys in the office, correct? Like accountability?
It used to be like Kitty explained, it would expire 12 months from the date that you received it. It was changed in the first large update. Now, it is slightly difficult for our office to handle it, however, it does make sense. Because we would have individuals apply for their license in May and expect people to be in their home on Memorial Day and demand an inspection within 3 days. We're now giving everybody the option, you can apply January 1st. Technically, Kitty is right. Technically, she's right, she's in violation, but we're not going after folks that have put their applications in. So hypothetically, if Kitty puts her application in January 2nd, we view her as in compliance. She has her application in, she's doing what she's supposed to do, she's communicating with us, she sets up her inspection, she can set up her inspection in March, April. We don't view her or any other property owner as out of compliance at that point. They have their paperwork in.
Okay.
We're encouraging them to put their application in January 1, first week in January. As long as you have heat and water running, we'll do your inspection in February. So we're not, it's unfortunate. We're still doing inspections when summer tenants are in their homes in June and July. And that's not necessarily our fault. That's the homeowner, property owner, agent, whoever's handling their application for them, neglecting to put their application in until May. You put your application in May, it's gonna take 2-3 weeks to get an inspector out there because that's the start of our busy season.
Right.
So
Yep.
we are encouraging people, put it in January, we'll be out February, March, April, when your place may be vacant. We'll do your inspection, you have your license to move forward. If we went back to the other way, we're going to run into problems where we're bundled up in April, May, June.
Okay.
Where everybody's gonna get their application in at the same time.
Just as long as there's some kind of like little grace period, I guess.
Yeah, we don't go after anybody as long as they get their paperwork in.
Okay.
Is that good?
And
Is that good?
well, that has been my experience. They have been, like, with that grace, it's like an unofficial grace period. But it is confusing, from like the standpoint of like the landlord. If you don't know that, it's like, oh, well, now I'm just in violation. It's just a little disconcerting. It's like, it's just, not clear.
Send it in that.
Okay, then, any updates on the, Channel Drive street? Not the property.
Not the property, the street?
yes.
Not yet, right? We haven't had any updates? No.
Now, I am a little concerned about that because I'm not 100% sure on this, but it seems to me like we've already spent almost all of that $1 million grant from the state. And now, since we've already approved $2.75 million bonded to improve that street, we're gonna be using that money now. I would rather we not redo the street and save that money.
So not
That's
go
my-
ahead with the,
That's correct,
Improvement.
not go ahead with the street improvement, and there's a few different reasons, I've expressed it already, but just for prudence sake, I'll just say it one more another time. Number one, the sewage under the street, the pipes under there, I mean, I always have problems with it, living on Channel Drive. If you get a northeast wind and a low tide, first of all, my pipes will freeze, and then every like 2 or 3 years, I have to have the Mathis brothers out there pumping out my pipes because of the grease from the restaurants. So it is like a unique street. These are things you might not have considered earlier. But then with also, as I've expressed before, pushing out or widening the sidewalks will narrow the street, And as I've testified here, there are 18-wheelers driving backwards, because they wanna put the backs of their tractor trailers on the waterfront, in addition to bikers and joggers and, fishermen with big trucks and, the whole restaurant goers and employees and blah, 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 blah. It's a busy street. So I'm just not seeing any benefit in, number one, taxpayers paying almost $3 million to do that. Number two, narrowing the street. Number three, and what I didn't mention, if you look on Channel Drive, there's barely any storm drains.
Yeah, there's no drainage on that street.
And it's a major problem, and that's another thing that this kind of like cosmetic facelift does nothing to address that. So I really hope that, Mayor and Council will scrap that project. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
Dave?
Good evening again, Dave Kevin Arrow, 118 Parkway. Ordinance 2025-32, parking on the sidewalk and lawn. Does this mean the code can now also issue those fines, or is it still just police? Parking on the lawn and blocking the
Brian,
sidewalk.
is that, code enforcement can enforce that too?
It's already in chapter 14
Right.
for us to enforce.
Yeah.
This update is duplicating the same verbiage
Right.
in
In the
chapter
second
9
and
for
chapter
police.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's both.
It's both.
It's both.
Yep.
Both.
So this is allowing the police department to write the borough summons on.
They've had this same section, this is just adding the same verbiage that's in chapter 14.
Terrible question to ask, I know. Court fine revenue, up, down, same?
Can you say that again?
Court fine.
The court revenue?
I'll have a report for you at the next meeting.
Yeah, we don't know that offhand.
Okay, next time?
Yep.
Okay. When do the public get their retail numbers?
That's coming out, the letters are being sent in the next few days.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned the cost of upgrading Channel Drive property, 113, 115. Was it $650,000?
Joe, is it a little more than that?
I don't have the exact, it is a little bit more than 650. It's under $1 million, but it's not.
Is this a limited upgrade, or is this to match the artist rendition that came out?
That was just for the artist rendition, a number based off of that.
Fixing the bulkheads, artist
Right.
rendition, right.
Okay.
Legally would be right.
Before you vote, will those firm numbers be out to the public?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Okay, that's it for comment. Oh, I forget what the gentleman is called, the tech man or media person.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer with us. Is he being replaced?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
What does he do, or she?
Believe it or not, they do a lot.
They do a lot. So, I'll
If
summarize.
somebody told me I'm gonna hire you $50,000 for a job and you're gonna do a lot, that doesn't explain it.
I'll summarize it for you.
Okay.
The downtown kiosk, that's new. He programs all the content that's on there. So that means updating the calendar on a weekly basis, any flyers for any of the committees or anything that we want to post up there, he posts up there. He creates all the flyers in town for all the different committees. He posts, he created an Instagram account for the town. He posts on the Facebook account for the town. He goes to all the events. He takes all the pictures. He did a great video for the police department drone program. He did a great video for the recreation to encourage more members. He does all the website stuff. So we're in the middle of moving from .org to .gov. He does that. He does all the back-end database stuff. We're building a database of email addresses so that we could send our newsletter and other permanent communication electronically. He's doing that, working on that. So there's a lot he's doing that before fell to, the committees themselves to do it. Joe or Christine in the past was approving all the he's doing all the flyer work. I mean, he's doing a lot. You may not see that from a resident level, but behind the scenes, he's done a lot.
Okay, I got a better idea, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Who's next? Rob.
Rob Clayton, 109 Chicago. the driveway, anybody that's not conforming, are they gonna be grandfathered? You know, as far as the dimensions being off the
Right.
property line?
Yeah,
Yes?
I would imagine that.
I would
Right.
think so,
Okay.
unless you do demo work and.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so anything obviously beforehand is
What
gonna
do
be.
you say, Bob? You have a big driveway?
Not me.
Don't you say anything.
Asking for a friend.
Don't say friend. The rental, ordinance, was there any, talk of obviously going a little bit further as far as, you know, fines or looking further into kind of strengthening that, you know, that ordinance?
Yeah, and I think that's
Fees.
something that we still will consider going forward. That ordinance needs to be, some of the loopholes need to be removed and mitigated from there.
Okay, so that's still open for
That's
discussion
something
moving
that
forward?
we'll talk about.
Okay. And as far as, I guess that goes, would you consider rentals being under a mercantile license as well, considering that technically you're running a business?
That's something we could talk about.
Yeah, but I don't think that matters anyway, because even if your mercantile license gets pulled, you can still operate as a business.
Oh, I just, for example,
Right.
you know, Seaside Heights, you know, makes you get a permit and a, you know, and a
Right.
license.
Yeah, but why get it if you don't need it anyway?
Mercantile licenses are really meant for merchants that are actually selling wares, selling physical plants. I mean, you know, this is housing.
Statute, see if we could even get there.
This is
Yeah.
housing,
Yeah.
housing, you know, it's not.
Well, Seaside.
Yeah, I was saying, like,
Um,
to answer, do you want me to answer?
yeah, as long as my time's up.
I got you, I got you.
No, I was just saying that mercantile licenses are under a particular statute, I think it's 40:52, so rentals are typically regulated under the borough's police power, so I'm not so sure one could cross over to the other, but I would imagine whatever the restrictions that you typically have under a mercantile license, you could certainly codify under the rental licensing regime. I'm trying not to use the term CO to,
Right.
Q to, overrule.
Okay. The, building and, zoning fees that were already on the books, and I guess I'm understanding that we didn't add any, you know, new ones? Is that kind of in line with what other, you know, towns are charging, or what we don't charge for, and possibly what they do charge for?
I'll ask Brian to opine on that, but
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so what was the question specifically?
The fees.
I was, you know, as far as the fees go, what we were already charging, what we're possibly not charging, like, you know, other towns might be charging for, or are we in line with most other towns?
We're actually below the average for the area. Even with these increases, we're below the average for the area, for construction fees, and we're not charging anything that's not on the technical sheet. So you're familiar with the technical sheets?
Mhm.
So each subcode has a technical sheet. What's on that list is what we're charging. We're not charging for things that are not on the state-approved form. And as far as zoning is concerned, we are far below the average of other municipalities. If we were to collect what's suggested now on an annual basis, we'll still only be collecting about $15,000 annually, which does not even come close to covering the cost of a zoning office. But it's a start. Last year, we collected $4,000 in zoning fees. No. So, again, somebody comes in for a full new house review, and it takes an hour to 2 hours to review, send comments back to the professional, come back for re-review and approval. It's costing the taxpayers money. And again, that's not fair for you as a homeowner who's not doing any work to pay for your neighbor's project. And we're trying to correct these issues that we've discovered that have been lingering for quite some time.
Okay.
Answer your
Thank you.
question?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, with that being said, wouldn't we wanna maybe look at certain things that we're not charging for and add those? Just,
We can, again, this was a start to get us, yeah, but we will definitely always keep an eye on that.
Next couple questions, I just, following up on the Coast Guard station. How much, debt service has been paid to date?
I don't have that offhand. I don't know that.
Okay. Any principal pay down?
I'm not sure.
Okay, and, what is the plan at maturity of a note, roll it, or bond? You know that?
We don't know that yet. We'll have to see when we get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I think all that is predicated too on what's,
What's gonna happen with it.
what's ended up happening with it and how it's being spent.
Right.
So, 3 to 6 months?
I would say a little bit longer.
Okay.
Anybody else? Dan?
Dan Friendly, 1401 Ocean. Was there any change to snow removal in there? Is there any change to snow removal?
I thought I saw
Yes.
something. Snow removal,
It did.
16 hours, I think.
Oh, right.
What was the change?
It was 12 hours of daylight.
Right.
Yeah.
In the winter season, you're never gonna have 12 hours of daylight, so technically, and we've run into this issue on Arnold Avenue. We've had businesses that were just refused to shovel their snow, because technically they were never in violation. So, it's 12 hours of daylight from the last snowfall, was the way it was.
Can we make this for commercial only? Cause you realize that nobody lives in this town in the winter. And nobody's shoveling their sidewalks, nobody. On my street, not a single person shovels their sidewalk. And you can't expect people who don't live here to even know that it snowed, to know what's on the ground, to spend thousands of dollars to hire a company to come around and deal with this. I see the benefit of it. If you're a business and you're operating and you're welcoming in the public on Arnold Avenue or anywhere else, absolutely they should be held accountable to this. But I think it should be worded a little bit differently for residents because, as you well know, in the middle of winter, when we're getting snow in January and February, if we get the snow in January and February, there's nobody here to shovel. So it's literally making 90% of the town in non-compliance, and it just doesn't make sense.
Good point, Dan.
So
I would just be consider, how does it work, and Mike, just for you, if there's a slip and fall on a sidewalk that should have been shoveled?
I think it's always, if you shovel it and then don't take care of it, that's when it becomes a liability, isn't?
I mean, I don't think by us regulating it one way or the other, we're affecting the borough's liability.
Okay.
I mean, I think the property owner has the responsibility, and the Tort Claims Act would insulate us one way or the
Okay.
other. But, you know, I think you guys have, I'm not too concerned with that.
Okay. I mean, that's a good point. That's something we can talk about.
Thanks.
Tell my wife
Front-
I'm not shoveling the snow
Yeah.
anymore.
Front,
And when she
I literally can't do it
complains,
anymore.
I'm gonna tell her to call you.
I can't do it anymore. Front yard parking.
New business plan.
Also a situation where I get the gist of it for rental properties, and I don't have an issue with the rental properties. But let's be honest, the people who live here, none of us want to park on our front lawns. It's not like we come home from work and we're like, where on my front lawn can I park today? Right? What it is all summer long when thousands and thousands of people surround our house, the town's making money off most of those spaces, at least most of them around my house. And we have, you know, I mean, I'm a very lucky one. I have 2 driveways. But I have 2 kids, a wife, and me, 4 cars, and we can only fit 3. Well, when that person comes home at 1 o'clock on a Saturday, where are they parking? The train station? They're gonna take an Uber from the train station home? There has to be more leniency for people who live here, who are being affected by all the tourists coming here and taking up all the parking around their houses where, and frankly, I said, you know, I mean, like, I didn't buy an HOA. It's my property. If I wanna park a car on my stones, I should be able to, and nobody should be able to tell me otherwise. That may be a little bit far for your taste, but that's where I am. But most importantly, you gotta look at, you know, people, if it's Saturday afternoon of July 4th weekend, we have 1 car that we can't park anywhere near the house, and then God forbid we invited a couple people over for a barbecue. Where are they parking? you know? And the ordinance as it's written makes it impossible for that to work. And I just think it would be better to move that ordinance under the rental piece of it, so if you're renting and your property has, you can rent it, say you have 2 parking spaces that come with it, whatever comes with it, and it's delineated, and they have to stick to that. But people who live here, you come home from work and you can't park your car, like what are you gonna do? You shouldn't, and you get a $200 ticket on your windshield because you came home from work.
Dan, I know in the past that, there have been hardship applications to the borough administrator, Christine Wheel,
Right.
to park outside of the delineated driveway, don't say
I get one. I get one every year.
Right.
But there are days I need 3. And they're not giving me 3. And the truth of the matter is that what that really means is that July 4th weekend, I cannot have anybody visiting my house at all. Because there is not a parking spot to be found for 1.5 miles. So I have usable stone space that I should very easily just be able to pull a car up on.
I'm one of the personally, I think it looks trashy when cars, I go down Washington Avenue, and the first 2 blocks, cars just everywhere. It's a little pet peeve of mine. I understand your point of view. I do. But
Right.
I'm just saying, that's personally me, I don't like it, but you're right. Where do you park?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like my ugly neighbor's house either, but I don't get to tell him he can't have an ugly house. You know, I mean, it's.
I think this is also, I mean, you know, Dan, with all due respect, I think it's also an issue of, we're a resort town. And it's a popular town, and where you live especially,
Yeah.
you're in ground zero.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not in ground zero, but I can tell you on July 4th, where I live right behind the grammar school and behind the stadium, literally what we do is, you know, I have 4 cars. And we make sure our cars are parked in the street, and we save our driveway for those people that are coming. We all play musical cars.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in this town.
Well, we
does.
try, but you get a couple more hours before it gets back to you. I mean, it's first thing.
Oh, yeah,
on the
no, I
weekend,
get it. Oh, I get it.
You know,
I
you
get
gotta,
it.
unless you're
I get
not leaving the house all day, you,
Yeah,
at some point you leave the house, you lose the spot.
I get it, I get it,
Yeah.
I get it.
So,
I get it.
I know, it's unfortunate, but.
Temporarily delineate your front yard.
the entire front yard, the entire front yard.
Jim's guy on Arnold
I-
Avenue that moves,
You know, I
4x4s.
have to say to you two guys, Art and I have never really seen eye to eye on very much, but both of you today, thank you very much, because what you guys did is what I was actually talking about the first time I was up here. You guys were looking to ease restrictions, make things make more sense, make things easier on people, and you looked into stuff that was fiscal responsibility. So I just want to say thank you to both of you for that. And on a note to piggyback on some of the things that you had said, the smoking, you're absolutely right. I am a smoker, you know, but I also think that we start talking about, there's this cloud of smoke and all these people smoking at the end of the street. When was it, 1985? That many, nobody smokes anymore. There might be one person having a cigarette, and it might be me at the end of the street, and that's it.
Right.
You know, there's really not this, people still have this image where if you allow smoking in places, people are gonna be just in a big group of people smoking cigarettes. Nobody knows that many people smoke cigarettes. Like, you might. And who's even now, you're gonna walk all the way from the pier out of Martell's all the way out to the street every 10 minutes to have a cigarette? I mean, it's almost impossible anyway. So, I agree with you. I think anything beyond the boardwalk is absolute craziness. And as far as the inlet is concerned, I mean, that's even more crazy.
Your time's up, so just finish your thought.
You know, there's fishermen like smoking cigars, hanging out. I mean, that's just, yeah. And just one quick question, if I could. The garage ordinance, was that actually included in that? And what is the reason for not allowing people to build a second story on their garage, or have to only have 85% of it?
I think they changed that in zoning in this town a long, long time ago, so unless you're one of the houses that has a garage and a 2-story apartment behind it, your grandfather did it.
Right.
You have the
You can't
property,
move
you
forward.
can't do it.
But you're
Supposed to be
absolutely right
developers
about that
supposed to
too.
do
It's crazy. Why not? Why
Yeah,
can't you?
Especially that, our kids can't buy houses right now, we should be able to put.
And all the kids want to live above the garage.
I
So
agree.
why not?
Anybody else? Hearing none, any motion to close discussion?
I'll make a motion to close public participation.
Any kind of, you wanna do roll call?
All in favor?
Aye.